Hi, this is David for 10 on Tactics, brought to you by tacticsandtrials.com. Today, we are going to review the case of Jones vs. City of North Las Vegas, 24-3374 from the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. In this matter, police officers attempted to set up a containment in a neighborhood to capture a person accused of domestic violence who was seen leaving the scene. In the end, the suspect was never apprehended, and two dogs, who were in their own backyard, were shot to death by a police officer when the dogs attempted to attack the police dog that had entered the yard. It was a dogfight gone bad. Jones vs. City of North Las Vegas presents critically important Fourth Amendment questions: the legitimacy of a warrantless backyard entry under the hot pursuit exception, the reasonableness of use of force involving dogs, and the scope of qualified immunity. The case turns on disputed facts and underscores judicial reluctance to resolve nuanced constitutional claims on summary judgment. The key legal issues analyzed in this opinion: 1. Warrantless entry. Whether officers' entry into the plaintiff's backyard was permitted by the exigent circumstances/hot pursuit exception, or was it an unlawful search/entry under the Fourth Amendment? 2. Excessive force, deadly force. Whether shooting the dogs that attacked the police K9 constituted excessive force as applied to property owners, dog owners, and whether the officer's action violated plaintiff's Fourth Amendment rights. The court evaluated objective reasonableness in light of what officers reasonably perceived. 3. Qualified immunity. Whether, at the time of the conduct, clearly established law put officers on notice that their conduct violated the Constitution, such that they are not shielded by qualified immunity. The Ninth Circuit applied the two-part qualified immunity test: whether facts show a constitutional violation, if so, whether the right was clearly established. The Ninth Circuit considered disputed facts about the timing and justification for the warrantless backyard entry, and whether force used, shooting two dogs, was objectively reasonable. The panel concluded there were material factual disputes that precluded summary judgment on some claims, and analyzed qualified immunity under the usual two-step framework. As stated in the opinion on February 15, 2019, at 3:47 p.m., North Las Vegas Police Department officers Joseph Manelli and Michael Rose responded to a possible domestic battery at a house. While Manelli spoke with a woman at the door, Rose moved to the side of the house, where he witnessed a person flee over the back wall to the south into a neighboring yard. Rose ran to his patrol car to request assistance. He drove 2 streets south, hoping to cut off whomever had fled but did not catch sight of the person again. Other police units established a multiple block perimeter around the area. Meanwhile, Manelli stayed at the home to investigate the domestic battery. The woman who answered the door denied that there was any domestic violence, but Manelli observed injuries on her face, including several injuries around her eyes and a long cut across her chin that had been stitched. The woman told Manelli that police were not welcome at her house and that her boyfriend, whom officers suspected had battered the woman and whom they believed to be the person who fled, would be back that evening and police would need a warrant to apprehend him at the home. Manelli remained at the address in case the suspect returned. With a perimeter in place, officers believed nobody could leave the area without crossing their line of sight. Lieutenant Scott Salkoff and his police dog Storm responded to the scene around 4:05 p.m., approximately 18 minutes after Rose saw the suspect flee. Salkoff used Storm to search within the perimeter. Salkoff informed residents of the searches using his patrol car's public address system. He also sent Officer Lee Young ahead to seek consent from residents to search their yards. Salkoff was searching a backyard 4 houses east and 1 house south of where the suspect vanished when Storm alerted to an odor coming from a distant, elevated position in the direction of plaintiff's walled-in backyard. Salkoff decided to search plaintiff's backyard. He had Officer Young check the gate, which was locked and posted with a "Beware of Dog" sign. Officer Young knocked on plaintiff's door to request their consent to search the yard but received no response because they were not home. To gain advantage, Salkoff jumped onto the 6-foot cinder block wall that enclosed plaintiff's yard. He observed trash cans where he thought the suspect might be hiding, and a fenced-in kennel area with an open gate and 3 dog houses and bowls, but did not see any dogs. With neither a warrant nor plaintiff's consent, Salkoff hopped down from the wall into their backyard. Officer Rose then passed Storm over the wall. Plaintiff's 3 dogs were stirred from their doghouses, emerging to investigate the unwelcome strangers in their yard. Salkoff attempted to keep the dogs at bay, kicking them and placing trash cans between them and Storm. His efforts deterred one dog, but the other two, Shadow and Whitewall, attacked Storm. Salkoff drew his service weapon and killed both Shadow and Whitewall. Despite officers scaring the neighborhood, they never found the person they were looking for. Plaintiffs sued Salkoff, Officer Rose, and the City of North Las Vegas, asserting several claims under 42 U.S.C. Section 1983. Salkoff violated the 4th and 14th Amendments when, without a warrant, he entered plaintiff's backyard, and Officer Rose violated the same when he passed Storm into the yard. Salkoff violated the 4th and 14th Amendments when he unreasonably seized their dogs by shooting them dead, and the city was deliberately indifferent to the risk of these violations. The panel held that the 18-minute gap broke the immediacy required for the hot pursuit exception. Warrantless entry under these circumstances violated the 4th Amendment, and qualified immunity was not appropriate because the law was clearly established. A pursuit is no longer hot when officers lose track of a suspect's trail in a residential neighborhood for 18 minutes. Regarding Lieutenant Salkoff's shooting of the dogs, the court applied the objective reasonableness standard. Given the spontaneous nature of the attack on the police dog, the court found only that material factual disputes existed. They affirmed summary judgment for the officer on qualified immunity grounds. The Ninth Circuit reaffirmed the doctrine's two-step test. 1. Was there a constitutional violation? And 2. Was that right clearly established law at the time of the incident? And then denying immunity on the entry claim, but affirming it on the use of force claim. Disputed facts precluded immunity for the search, but for the dog shooting, officers were reasonable under existing precedent. The court affirmed the dismissal of municipal liability. Plaintiffs produced no evidence of a pattern or custom of unconstitutional warrantless searches or use of force by the city. There was no moving force attributable to a policy or deliberate indifference. The court reversed summary judgment on Fourth Amendment claims, remanded the state law claim, district court had declined supplemental jurisdiction, affirmed immunity for use of force, and upheld dismissal of Monell claims. The panel emphasized that the record contained genuine disputes about A. How much time elapsed between the suspect's disappearance and entry into plaintiff's yard. B. Whether officers had plausible grounds to believe the suspect was in the backyard such that exigent circumstances or hot pursuit justified entry. And C. What the officers perceived when the dogs were encountered. Those factual disputes precluded resolution for the defendants on several issues at summary judgment. The court applied the usual inquiry for qualified immunity. On the legal rule side, the Ninth Circuit considered precedent about warrantless entries during pursuit and the use of force when confronting animals, and the related interests of residents. Where existing precedent clearly established the unreasonableness of the officer's conduct, qualified immunity was inappropriate. Where precedent was ambiguous or inapplicable, officers might be entitled to immunity. The panel remanded or vacated portions of the district court's summary judgment ruling where immunity could not be resolved because of factual disputes. The opinion recognizes that the Constitution protects persons from unreasonable seizures and that courts consider whether deadly force or shootings were objectively reasonable under the totality of circumstances. The panel pointed to Ninth Circuit case law, drawing lines about when force is excessive, and observed that non-lethal alternatives and the immediacy of the threat are relevant. While dogs are traditionally treated as property, the court reaffirmed that deadly force against such property can still be objectively reasonable, especially in spontaneously volatile situations. This nuanced precedent is consequential in future dog-related force cases. What are the practical implications of this case? 1. The factual record, as determined by the court, is critical at summary judgment. This decision reinforces that courts may not resolve constitutional claims where credibility and contested facts, timing, perception, immediacy would materially affect the reasonableness analysis. 2. Qualified immunity remains fact-sensitive. Even where officers acted under dangerous, uncertain conditions, immunity will turn on whether clearly established precedents put officers on notice of unlawfulness in materially similar circumstances. 3. The court clarified that hot pursuit must be continuous and immediate. Losing track, even for under 20 minutes, can defeat the exception. This tightens Fourth Amendment protections against delayed entries into private property. 4. Even statutory protections like hot pursuit exceptions rely heavily on factual complexities. The timeline and the officer's perspectives to survive summary judgment must be fully developed on the record. In closing, Jones v. City of North Las Vegas reinforces the Fourth Amendment's demand for immediacy in exigent circumstances and offers a carefully calibrated view on force involving animals. The case exemplifies how factual details, timing, perception, immediacy, play a determinative role in constitutional adjudication. It also demonstrates qualified immunity's nuanced application in evolving contexts. Until next time, this is David for tacticsandtrials.com. Be safe.